Did Ukraine bomb a Russian civilian beach? So I got an interesting email from a guy named Christian who said, I have friends who are saying that the U.S. is supplying weapons to Ukraine in tranches. Now, by the way, I had to look up what a tranche was. I thought it was Italian for a second, like tranche. That sounds delicious, you know, like it's got scallops and calamari. But no, tranche actually means a bundle of something. So tranches to keep Ukraine in a state of needing more materials and building up a debt via the Lend-Lease Act, which they will then owe the U.S. for a long time. Has the U.S. been supplying weapons intermittently? If the U.S. wanted to, could they provide more weapons to end the conflict decisively? Did the current Ukrainian regime bomb beaches that killed civilians and children? That's another thing my friends mentioned. So this is normally something I would do in a roundup question, although I thought it was important enough to cover in its own video. So first question, has the U.S. been supplying weapons intermittently? Sort of, but not for the reasons you think. The issue is the logistical tail. It takes time to move equipment from one place to another, and there's only a finite number of planes that can do this. The U.S. has 222 C-17s. That's the Air Force's workhorse transport. At any given day, 60 or so C-17s are flying. At the height of the evacuation from Kabul, the Air Force was at a high of 113 sorties per day, and this went on for like 15 days. So half of all of C-17s in the Air Force inventory were surged and flying. And at the end of it, the Air Force is like, whoa, this isn't safe. We need to give these crews a break and allow the aircraft to be maintained. That was hard on crews and airframes. So the U.S. is limited to how much it can safely surge its aircraft. And don't forget, once the aircraft lands, all of this equipment and ammunition has to go through drayage. That means short-haul trucking to a rail depot in Poland. You go from the airfield to a rail depot. And then it has to get put on a train and actually brought into Ukraine. Don't forget, there's handling requirements for moving things like ammunition. So whatever trucking contractor you hire to perform drayage has to have the right certification for hauling explosives. Your average Bredonka driver isn't going to have the right hazard certification, so you need specialized drivers that have the certifications to haul things like weapons or ammunition. So the big bottleneck is logistics. Second question, if the U.S. really wanted to, could they provide more weapons to end the conflict decisively? Maybe. F-16s and ATACMS would certainly help, but that would have been more useful at the start of the war before Russia got entrenched. And right now the major problem is minefields. And there is no good solution for the minefields. There's no easy solution. Right now it's a contest of young men and flesh against hot metal. Equipment like assault breacher vehicles and MICLICs are relatively rare. So you have to see what you can give to Ukraine without compromising your own readiness. And, you know, unfortunately, right now in Ukraine, trying to demine a minefield is like trying to mow the lawn and stopping every couple of meters because you have to check to see if there's a child's toy that's about to run under your blades. And by the way, the neighbor's kid is shooting at you. Yeah. And if your lawnmower hits one of these children's toys, you have to go to Home Depot and get a new one. It's really, really, really difficult. And they're in a bad situation. And we're lucky that Ukrainians are so brave because they're trying to do something, which is breach a wire-mined obstacles without any good air support. And that's actually really impressive. They're doing really well for the hand that they've been dealt. So finally, did the current Ukrainian regime bomb beaches that killed civilians and children? So this is a pretty interesting question, and I'm not aware of anything recent that happened. I actually tried to look for bomb, Ukraine, Russia, beach, children. So I don't think this happened, but let's actually kind of look at this from the capabilities of the Ukrainian Air Force. We're going to see if it's even possible for Ukraine to bomb a Russian beach. So let's try to figure out if they can even pull this off. Ukraine essentially operates four main fighter aircraft: the MiG-29, Su-24, Su-25, Su-27. While all of these aircraft are capable of carrying air-to-ground stuff, the Su-24 is Ukraine's only dedicated long-range all-weather tactical bomber. It's kind of like the old American F-111. Now, currently, the Russian military controls a significant amount of beachfront real estate in Ukraine. So that means Ukraine will either have to penetrate into Russia to strike, or they would have to go all the way over the Black Sea and attack the beaches somewhere in Crimea. Now, Ukraine doesn't have any mid-air refueling assets. They don't have any tankers to extend the range of the aircraft. I don't know how many bombs the Su-24 would be able to carry on a mission like this, but I do know it would probably be stuffed to the gills with extra fuel tanks. So there would be very minimal ordnance on this platform. Also remember that Ukraine only has 8 Su-24s, and as far as I know, it's the only platform that can launch the Storm Shadow missile. So this is a very precious asset. There's no free lunch here. Russian radar is watching and surface air missiles are watching. So now you need SEED, or suppression of enemy air defenses. You need to hit these SAM launchers so you can complete your bomb run. You also need a fighter escort because Russia is certainly going to scramble fighters to intercept. So I think that planning a complex multi-aircraft mission with the end state of attacking civilians on a beach would not be within Ukraine's current operational capabilities. And I don't think they would be likely to risk precious aircraft for such a mission. Thank you guys for watching.
It's me, Captain Bannon of the documentary Team Yankee. When I'm not kicking commie butts, I'm wearing t-shirts from Ryan McBeth, available at Bunker Branding, Knife Hands, HIMARS, Landmines, Patriot, and even my favorite, the TOW missile. Mushna, we want t-shirt too! Take a hike, commie! So come on down to Bunker Branding and take a stand for what's really important about America. Capitalism!